a new report revealing just how many accused criminal migrants are in sanctuary jurisdictions that have been released onto the streets. All right, let's look at the data right here. Anytime the federal government, specifically ICE, has someone that is illegally in the country but also is wanted for criminal activity, they will put a detainer on them. So what we're learning, 25,000 detainers have been rejected by local jurisdictions, those jails. But the interesting data goes to the criminals. We got 72 of those detainers that were denied were people that have been charged with homicide. Now, they hadn't been convicted yet, but they were wanted. Looking at the states that mattered the most when it comes to this, you got Connecticut at the very bottom, you got Massachusetts. All these are sanctuary cities. Virginia, but at the very top, and I think this tells a telling story, detainers rejected locally, 13,000 for the entire state of California. And also, why this matters, when you look at California right now, the new case, an illegal immigrant and soccer coach is being charged with the murder of a 13-year-old boy on his team and assaulting 2 other minors as well. It's a stunning development. Jessica Vaughan is the director of policy studies for the Center for Immigration Studies, and she wrote the report on sanctuary cities, and she joins us now. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Thank you.
So, the Congresswoman for the Progressive Caucus, Jayapal, had this to say about sanctuary cities and safety. Let's watch.
There are a lot of reasons why states and localities have adopted policies to leave immigration enforcement to federal government where it belongs. For some, it's about fostering trust with local communities. When immigrant communities know that calling 911 won't result in deportation for themselves or a family member, they're actually more willing to report and help law enforcement solve crimes, which makes all of us safer.
But the numbers just don't add up, right?
That's exactly right. That is one of the most commonly offered reasons for having sanctuary policies. But we know from Department of Justice data that immigrants actually, even illegal immigrants, report crimes just as frequently as American citizens do. So they don't, as a group, appear to actually fear reporting crimes. So, understanding that, there really is no excuse for sanctuary policies. The reason they're happening is because these local jurisdictions disagree with immigration enforcement, and they are deliberately trying to get in the way of ICE doing its job for political reasons primarily.
Jessica, a lot of Americans hadn't seen these numbers, but they saw the stories of Americans being harmed by illegals in this country. Do you think the highlighting of these stories really changed the public sentiment on deportations? Because at first, they were against Trump when it came to this issue, but now you see overwhelming support for some of his immigration policies.
That's right. There is this narrative that immigration enforcement is overzealous and it's catching up people who are otherwise harmless. But in fact, ICE is focused on that fraction of the illegal population that is causing problems in American communities. That's who they're primarily looking for. And so when sanctuaries deliberately interfere with immigration enforcement, the result is they're not protecting the average immigrant or even illegal immigrant. They're protecting criminals, and they're releasing these criminals back into the streets where they have the opportunity to offend again. And they do. There is a huge human cost to these policies. And law enforcement agencies would like to be able to cooperate with ICE. They know how important that is, but it's the politicians who impose these sanctuary policies that are interfering with that and causing the public to be at risk. And it's happening everywhere, not just in the sanctuary cities, but even in some rural areas where they mistakenly have these policies misguided, and tragedies are happening. And you'd think they do the right thing for that reason, but it's over politicized at this moment.
It's so true. And the most stunning development of it all is, you've had these examples, yet a lot of these sanctuary states and cities, they just won't budge on the policies still, as it's brought to the light. Jessica, thanks so much for getting up this morning.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.